Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com, and this will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, November 23rd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about the tool of technical analysis and how it can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick before I get started, I do want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free online class here that I'm offering in a couple weeks. So if you're liking what you see and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can be used to build consistency, then if you're watching on YouTube, then down in the description box, there's a link you can click on. If you're watching at my site, then somewhere right on the webpage there's going to be an area that you can click on to get signed up. So just keep that in the back of your mind, and if you're liking what you see, then definitely get signed up for the class. A couple of quick clarification points here. First off, I will be using the 30-minute time frame. So if you are new, all that means is that each one of these here, as they're called, candlesticks, represents 30 minutes worth of time. And then second, the market is still open for a few more minutes. So you're not crazy. These candles that you'll see are still going to be moving. But I like to do these when the markets are open a little bit, because sometimes we can capture some really interesting price action. But it's also close enough to where the market is done for the day, where the levels that I talk about should remain relevant. But first one here, ticker symbol LGVN, and what an absolute monster. Actually started off rough on the day with a gap down, but not to pat myself on the back, but definitely to pat technical analysis on the back. For those of you that watched the video from last Friday, hopefully remember me talking about that green support level. And look right where it gapped down to right at that green level, and then the rest is history. What an absolutely monster move. So point here being, I think there's going to be plenty of eyeballs watching this one here on Tuesday also, but truly just a gigantic move today. And let's get some new levels mapped out here. So one of the newest areas of support, and what would, I'd consider a pullback point that could come into play here, right there at $19.50, which seems relatively far away given the thing's up, over 26 currently, but that's kind of the catch-22 when you have these very volatile stocks. Then yeah, a $5-6 move can still remain relatively quote-unquote close. So 1950 going to be, a key level. And then from more of the overarching point of view, that's where you're going to want to watch the purple line there, the 50-period moving average, which is totally irrelevant right now, but that's where the keyword moving comes into play, because as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher and get more and more relevant. So the idea here is that from more so the macro sense, as long as the price stays above that purple line, as the line itself moves higher and higher, then the overall trend is still in the bull's favor. But yeah, I do fully, admit right now that it's completely irrelevant right now. But like I said, it will move and catch up and get more relevant as time goes by. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, it's in totally blue sky breakout territory right now, which is a good problem to have. I suppose you could call the highs right up there around 28 the key level of resistance, but that could very quickly be broken here too. But overall, like I said, the main dynamic here is that huge volume, huge price movement, and I'm sure there's going to be just that many more people watching it on Tuesday. So let's see how it continues to play out. Next one, CEI, and after today, we have now a very, very well-defined level. And this is important just because when you have very well-defined areas, you know that a bunch of people are watching it around the world. And when a bunch of people are watching the same levels, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can create some very dynamic movements. And that is exactly what's going on here with this red line now at $1.52. So $1.52, you can see back last week, presented a problem, and then this morning a couple times, both there and there, presented a problem. So that doesn't mean the price can't break above it. It just means that it now becomes a very plausible thought process to say, if the price comes back up to that level and can get the break of it, again, no guarantees, but is it at least a logical thought to have? Absolutely. That if that level is broken, self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, but a break of that level that people all around the world are going to be watching, could that create a bunch of new momentum and create that much more, follow through? Yeah, it absolutely could. So a guaranteed movement? No. A logical, realistic thought process? Absolutely. So $1.52, definitely very, very important to watch from the resistance side of things. In terms of supports, key level going to be right down here at the $1.36 mark, where you can see a couple of times today the price bounce off that level. And then not that far below, you have that 50-period moving average right there, valued at $1.33. But I think the big dynamic now, especially after today's price movement moving forward, is all eyes going to be on that $1.52 mark. And can the price get back up there and break through it? Let's see how the next couple of days play out. Next one here, AMC, and a pretty bizarre day. Overall, the chart's hanging in there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that line. And the reason I say the chart's hanging in there will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched last week's video. But I've been talking about that pink line there, the 200-period moving average. And so far, so good. I mean, it's been a rocky ride up and down, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Earlier on in the day, the price found some support right around that pink line, just like it did last week. So from an overall sense, that pink line, again, that very famous, well-known 200-period moving average is holding strong. Current value of that, let's just call it at $40.75. But as far as upwards movement, disappointing. I mean, and I don't mean that in everything's ruined, because again, the price is still above that moving average. But today, obviously started off with a gap up, huge surge up, and then a nasty pullback. But that's where you got to give credit where credit's due, that 200 period moving average, because then a very nice bounce. But all of a sudden now it's kind of starting to pull back again. So yeah, individually today, looking at things from a very micro sense, a couple of disappointing movements to the upside. But taking a step back and looking at things from more of a macro point of view, everything is still trending upwards. I mean, if you want to draw a trend line, you could draw a trend line like that. So you still have an uptrending trend line. Like I said, in my mind, that the easiest trend line is just the one that'll, draw itself for you, which is that moving average. So yeah, not the greatest day in terms of follow through, but at least it did build a higher base. And now there's definitely a very well-defined area of resistance up there at that $43 mark. So like CEI, a bunch of people have noticed that level. I mean, you can see it presented problems back here, and then once again presented a problem there. So self-fulfilling prophecy or not, whatever you want to call it, it's valid to think that if the price can work its way up to 43 and get the break of it, that break in and of itself could create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. So we'll see how this one continues to play out on the week. Next one here, LCID, and we're getting a common theme here, and this one will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched the video previously, but I talked about that red line right there as being a key level of resistance, and you can see that once again today, price came up there, actually a little bit of a false breakout, so probably suckered in some breakout players, and that's just kind of the market can be nasty at times, and then back down the price went. But from an overarching sense, there's going to be just that many more people now watching that level. What I'm going to do is actually adjust this level up to right there around 57.50, because that's more accurate to where it was right there. And then that was a high right there. So now if you want to just keep it at 57, I'd never argue against that. But I can totally see why you'd call it 57.50. But point here being that this general area up here remains the level where whenever the price has gotten up there, the momentum has just disappeared. So 57.50, definitely going to be that main area of resistance as far as levels of support are concerned. And the near term key level to watch here can be right down there around, let's see, what is that? The 49.75 mark. And then after 49.75, next key level would then be down there right around $47. So keep your eye on those couple levels from the support side of things. But yeah, definitely a great surge. But yeah, that area up there, very stubborn. But we'll see if the price can return back up there. And again, self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. If the price can break through that area, you got to think that could cause a whole nother wave of upside momentum. Next one here, PROG. Not going to spend a lot of time on it just because there's not a whole lot of updates other than the fact of this pattern here that I've drawn in previous videos is still in play, and the longer a pattern remains in play, that just means the more people are going to be watching it, which by this point, you know why that's important, because you start to form these self-fulfilling prophecies, and that's what we have here. So like I said, no new updates, no new annotations need to be made. Still have that top part of the pattern up there around $5.30, and that trend line right there as that main area of support. But what you're getting, more and more of is this nice wedge pattern here that's forming. You could argue, this is an ascending triangle. I wouldn't argue against that. But the point here being is there is this pattern that is forming. So moving forward, it just remains this, key question of, all right, well, who is ultimately going to win out of this pattern? Are the bears going to win out by pushing to the downside, or the bulls going to win out by pushing to the upside? That remains the key question here. But like I said, the main core dynamic here is that the pattern is still in play, and it's remaining in play, which is bringing more and more eyeballs to it, which is what you want as a trader if you want to get some of those self-fulfilling prophecy type movements. So it's certainly worth continuing to keep it on the watch list. Next one here, NIO, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched videos from last week, but I talked about this overall falling wedge pattern, and on Friday, the price actually got the break of the falling wedge. Now, it wasn't anything significant, but it was a leading indicator of, hey, that pattern's been broken. So going into today, the question was, all right, is this technical pattern going to get any sort of, upwards follow through? And I mean, you don't have to wait long at all to figure that out, given the thing just gapped up very nicely. So that's what, this is now in the middle of, got the falling wedge technical pattern breakout. Again, I realize this kind of all means more to those that watched the videos from last week. But that's going to be the main context right now, is that it is in the middle of this breakout of that technical pattern. And the current key level now, if this is going to get any more continuation, right up there around $42.80. So going through the history of things, you can see that this general area has presented some problems, including from today. So keep an eye on that as that main breakout point. As far as levels of support are concerned, really the best way to answer the question of, okay, Clay, I get it. The technical pattern has been broken, but how can we measure the health of the current breakout? And just use that purple line, which is now the 50 period moving average. So as that line moves itself higher and higher, as long as the price stays above that line, again, as the line itself goes higher, well, then the quote-unquote breakout that's underway right now does remain bullish. No breakout's going to go straight up, as nice as that would be. There is going to be some fluctuations, but as long as the fluctuations continue to occur above that moving average, then like I said, in my opinion at least, that means the breakout is still fully supported by the bulls. But overall, very nice follow-through from that little miniature breakout on Friday, and we'll see if this one can continue to build more momentum on the week. Next one here, ISPC, and this is one where it could be game over, but it had enough volatility today where you got to at least just keep an eye on it and see if it wants to make another push to the upside. But the fact of the matter is, and what I would argue is kind of nice about this, is you have such a well-defined downtrending trend line right there. I mean, this thing essentially all day long was just trending down, trending down, trending down. So you know that there's going to be people watching it, and rightfully so. I mean, it makes a lot of sense of, okay, is this party over? But if this price can finally break that trend line, now am I saying it sends it back up to $13? I'm not saying that, but let's say it sends it back up to $11. I mean, from 9 to 11, from a percentage standpoint, I mean that's a good quality potential trade right there. And then of course, now this assumes of course you can manage risk and have risk control systems within your strategy. But from a risk reward standpoint, I mean that could be a very worthwhile setup here. But regardless, any way you look at it, in my mind, that key trigger point and key level to form trade plans around would be that resistance line right there. Now, to be fair, maybe this is the beginning of the end, and this thing's just going to bleed and bleed and bleed back into oblivion. And that's why it's kind of important to have some sort of, kind of trigger point to keep an eye on. In my mind, that trend line there, I think a lot of people have drawn that level. It's going to be an area that if the price can be broken, then yeah, no guarantees, but is it valid to think that could create some upside, momentum? Absolutely. For people that like to play pullbacks, the interesting pullback level definitely going to be down here around $6.25, which is where these two very well-known moving averages are converging. Now the 200 period and the 50 period. So if this thing continues to bleed, could get some sort of bounce down there. That would be another, not guaranteed, but valid thought process to have. But overall, like I said, this one was just, had too much movement, too much volume today to completely write off. So worth at least keeping on the watch list somewhere. Next one here, AAPL Apple, and want to do this one just because, and I talked about this early last week about how when Apple can get into trends, I mean, it can really keep trending and trending and trending. So, and I had no plans of doing this one until the last 30 minutes. And the last 30 minutes it's just, is this a buying opportunity? Is this the start of something much worse to the downside? But I mean, what in the world is going on here where the last 30 minutes, things got so rough? Now, and that's what brings up, it's up to you at this point. If you're saying, yeah, this was just a temporary little sell-off, this is a buying opportunity, which again, I can totally see the logic there. I'm not refuting that at all. You have a very strong increasing 50 period moving average. If you want to just, throw in a traditional trend line, you still got the trend line fully in play right there. So, I mean, there's many ways where I could totally understand, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is just a pullback. This is a buying opportunity, and I can see that. Perhaps you're saying, no, I don't like to really buy pullbacks. I'd like to buy some sort of sign of strength. So again, a very well-defined trend line right there. So if you want to see things first recover and then buy there within, so buying a breakout within an uptrend, I can totally see that logic too. Or maybe you're just thinking, I don't know, Clay, I think this might be some sort of bigger reversal. Well, then maybe you're looking to potentially go short-sided, which I think is more of the risky trade given the, the overall upwards trend nature of this current chart. But like I said, the point here being is that last 30 minutes today really makes this an interesting setup given the context of an already strong uptrend. So keep an eye on it. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that line there as it served its purpose. But the level here, and wow, I wish I could say that this was all intentional, but a bunch of these stocks here are just getting rejected by these former areas, which are forming all sorts of self-fulfilling prophecies. So right here, $1,100. Again, I talked about this red line in a previous video, but you can see right there, presented a problem, and then you get the idea. Today, presented a problem. So you better believe that there are all sorts of people watching $1,200. And once more, not guaranteed, but valid to think that if the price can recover back up to 1,200 and then get the break up through there, that break in of itself could very well create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. So continue to watch that from the resistance side of things. As far as supports are concerned, an interesting support in my mind going to be down there right around those moving averages, which is around the 1120 mark. So keep an eye on that. Like I said, I think the most interesting dynamic and probably the dynamic that most people are observing and care about is going to be, can the Tesla, get that break back above 1,200? We'll see what happens. Next one here, PLTR, which needs once again another update, which I'll continue to do because I know this is a very popular stock out there. But the update just based on a foundation rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So going into the day, the level I talked about last week, right around 21.15, was that level of support. But you can see once the price broke broke below it during that opening 30 minutes, I mean, that just really expedited the downwards momentum. However, to be fair, the bulls showed up today and created a bounce. Now, is this just a dead cat bounce? Potentially. I mean, from a pattern perspective, all you have now is a bear flag. But let me be very clear, just because a bearish pattern is formed does not guarantee for sure the price is going to keep going down. Now, would it be shocking if the price just rolls back over through the bear flag? No, I don't think anybody would be shocked by that. But just because a bearish pattern is formed doesn't mean the price will for sure go down. Just because a bullish pattern is formed doesn't mean that the price is going to go up. But like I said, I would be very careful in thinking, oh yeah, bounce, this is for sure, everything is okay. Now, could things continue to turn more and more okay? Absolutely. But just based on the data here, to think that everything is still perfectly fine, I think that's a little bit risky given the overall trend here is still very clearly down. And then as far as the current level of support is now concerned, nothing fancy or complicated here. Literally just a question of, well, where did the bleeding finally stop today? Where did that bounce occur? And that was at $20.20. So it's really as straightforward as that. You have the main area of resistance right now at 21.10, main area of support at $20.20. And it's really just a question of, okay, is this the start of a bigger bounce right here? Or is this just some sort of bear flag pattern that's going to roll back over? And that'll be I think the pressing question that a lot of people are watching and wondering. So we'll see how it plays out over the next couple of days. And that wraps up the top 10. So again, if you're interested in learning more about the tool of technical analysis, how it should be used, how it should not be used, but how ultimately it's a great tool to build consistency, then definitely get signed up. Like I said, the class will be Thursday on December 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely get signed up for it if you want to learn more about this tool to build consistency. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to make these videos, then please give me some feedback by two easy things. Hit the like button, leave a basic comment, even if it's a ticker symbol that you traded today, a smiley face emoji. But those two things, hitting the like button, leaving a basic comment, goes a long way in communicating to me that you enjoy these videos. And as long as I know that people are enjoying, then I have no problem at all continuing to put in the time and effort to make them. And again, if you want to learn more about this tool and how to use it, then definitely get signed up for that class. Everybody take care. Have a good one.